She had never wanted to be in that seat. The captain's voice over the intercom was calm at first, professional, the kind of voice that made passengers trust the sky. But then it broke. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain, we're experiencing a medical emergency. If there's anyone on board with flight experience, please come to the cockpit immediately. The cabin went dead quiet. Some passengers glanced around in disbelief, others froze, gripping armrests. 30,000 feet above the Pacific, a Boeing 737 was now half a heartbeat from disaster. Seat 9A didn't move for a moment. A woman in a simple gray hoodie, her hair tied back in a tight braid, sat still, her eyes locked on the emergency light above the aisle. Her name was Captain Lauren Valkyrie Hayes, retired U.S. Air Force, former F-22 Raptor pilot, and one of the few women to have ever led a combat squadron. No one on that plane knew that. She'd boarded quietly, avoiding eye contact, just another passenger on a commercial flight home. But then she heard the flight attendant's voice, trembling, the captain's unconscious. We need help now. Lauren unbuckled her seatbelt and stood up. A murmur rippled through the cabin as she walked toward the cockpit. A businessman whispered, "What's she doing?" Someone else muttered, "She can't go in there." She ignored them. Her heart wasn't racing, not yet. Years of combat flights, missile locks, and split-second decisions had trained her nerves into steel. She reached the cockpit door, where a pale co-pilot was trying to stabilize the captain slumped in his seat. "I can fly," she said simply. The co-pilot looked at her, desperate but hesitant. "Ma'am, this is a restricted. Either let me sit down, or we both die explaining protocol." She cut him off, already scanning the panels, systems, and gauges. He blinked. That tone. The certainty in her voice. He slid out of the seat. Lauren slid in, hands gripping the yoke. The horizon line on the artificial attitude indicator was tilting, altitude dropping fast. Autopilot was off. "Okay," she muttered to herself, "let's see what kind of bird you are." Her fingers moved instinctively, flaps, trim, throttle. The engines responded sluggishly. A warning chime sounded, hydraulic pressure low. "Of course it is," she whispered. The co-pilot, still shaken, stared at her. "Who are you?" "Just someone who's done this before," she said, eyes fixed ahead. He looked back down at the panels, and froze when he saw how steady her hands were. Whoever this woman was, she wasn't bluffing. Lauren tapped the radio switch. "Mayday, Mayday, this is Flight 908 requesting emergency assistance. Pilot incapacitated, hydraulic pressure warning active. I have control." "Copy that, 908, came a calm male voice from air traffic control. "Confirm your name and experience." Lauren hesitated for half a second. She wasn't supposed to use her old call sign anymore. She'd buried that part of her life years ago. But survival came first. "This is Valkyrie. Former Air Force. I've got this plane." The controller went silent for a full second. Then his tone changed. Respectful. Sharp. "Roger that, Valkyrie. We're clearing you priority approach to Hickam Air Base. F-22 Raptors are in the area, they'll escort you in." The co-pilot looked at her, astonished. "Valkyrie. You mean the Valkyrie?" Lauren didn't answer. She was too focused. The nose was steadying. Airspeed holding. Outside, clouds peeled away, and sunlight struck the wings like silver fire. Minutes later, two distant shapes broke through the haze, F-22s, sleek and predatory, forming up on either side of her. The radio crackled again. "Flight 908, this is Eagle 1. Confirm your Valkyrie." Lauren exhaled through her nose. "Affirmative, Eagle 1. Just trying to get your bird on the ground in one piece." Silence. Then a low voice came through, almost reverent. "Ma'am, it's an honor." The co-pilot blinked as both fighters drifted closer, their wings tipping slightly, a salute in the air. Lauren allowed herself a faint smile. "Let's keep it professional, boys. I still need your eyes on my gear." "Copy that, Valkyrie." She ran checklists in her head. Gear down, flaps full, throttles at idle. But the right hydraulic line wasn't responding. Landing gear light still red. "Eagle 1, confirm visual on landing gear. Negative on your right main. Looks stuck, ma'am." Of course it was. The co-pilot swallowed. "What do we do?" Lauren glanced at him, calm as a lake. "We improvise." She trimmed the aircraft slightly nose high, adjusting approach speed. The runway at Hickam stretched out below, the Pacific glittering beyond it. Tower, Flight 908, emergency landing, right gear failure. Request foam on runway. Confirmed, Valkyrie. Foam in place. Godspeed. The F-22 stayed close as she descended, a silent honor guard escorting one of their own home. Inside the cabin, passengers clutched hands and prayed. Some had overheard the radio, heard that name, Valkyrie, whispered through the intercom. No one knew exactly what it meant, but the air felt different now. Lauren's eyes never left the horizon. She eased the yoke back, coaxing the aircraft toward the runway threshold. Brace for landing, she said evenly into the intercom. Heads down, stay calm. The jet touched down with a shudder, left gear hitting first. Then the crippled right side scraped asphalt, sparks erupting in a long, screaming trail. The smell of burning rubber and metal filled the cabin. Hold it, she whispered, fighting the roll with every ounce of control. The aircraft finally ground to a stop, tilting but intact. The cabin burst into cries, relief, applause, sobs. Lauren sat there, breathing slowly, hands still firm on the controls. Hydraulics are gone, the co-pilot said, voice trembling. Doesn't matter, she replied softly. We're down. Outside, rescue trucks raced toward them. Fire crews swarmed, spraying foam. One of the F-22s did a slow pass overhead, banking low in salute before disappearing into the clouds. Lauren finally stood, stretching her hands, muscles aching from the fight. The co-pilot just stared. I've never seen flying like that. You just saved 200 people. She gave a small, tired smile. That's what we do. When the cabin door finally opened, the first responders were waiting, and behind them, a group of Air Force personnel from Hickam. Among them was a colonel who looked stunned to see her. Captain Hayes? He asked, almost disbelieving. Valkyrie. She nodded. He straightened unconsciously, eyes wide. Ma'am, we thought you retired years ago. I did, she said quietly. Guess the sky wasn't done with me yet. As passengers were escorted out, many turned to look back at her. No one clapped now. They just stared, silent, humbled. They didn't know her story, but they knew what they'd witnessed. Courage under pressure, mastery beyond words. Then the radio from one of the F-22 pilots came through the open channel, clear and steady. This is Eagle 1, permission to speak freely. Lauren looked up toward the sound of the voice. Granted. A pause. Then, welcome home, Valkyrie. The air around her seemed to still. The ground crew, the firefighters, even the passengers heard it, that call sign spoken with reverence. Lauren looked to the horizon, where the two Raptors had vanished into the blue. Good to be back, she said softly, more to herself than anyone else. Later, as she walked away from the runway, sunlight glinting off the wrecked landing gear behind her, one of the young airmen whispered to another. She landed that jet solo, with failed hydraulics. Yeah, the other replied. And the Raptor pilots called her Valkyrie. They didn't speak again for a long while. Some names, they realized, didn't need explanations.